Hey, everybody. It is May 13th, Wednesday, right? I think it's Wednesday. It's a day ending in Y for sure. And welcome to the Dev Talk Show. I'm Chris Gomez here with my co host, Rich Ross. How is it going?
Going well, going well. It's
Awesome.
we're getting close to summer here, so
I
looking
was going to
forward
say,
to winding some things down.
I thought the producer might be behind the chair, but I actually looked and
He
he
was
would
there.
be, yeah, but he's way off in the corner now. So way
Uh,
out of frame. Doesn't have his headset on, though.
no, he was here while we were pre-showing, so
Yeah.
we had our back.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the Dev Talk Show. We have been working towards the next set of projects and ideas. And I guess without putting too much time into the introduction, I think there's a lot of places that we'll be coming back to that people will be excited about. I think as you've seen, Rich, you saw the demo of the second mono game project that I'm finishing up that I think we'll be able to share here.
Yeah,
And it's not exactly the same as the Circus Pop game. Still 2D, but some different mechanics, and so that might be cool. And today one of the things we've been using on the show is GitHub Copilot CLI, which I love. I have
Mhm.
over the last 3 or 4 months finally opened up the GitHub Copilot CLI because I had trouble understanding what made it different from using the Copilot in IDE or in VS Code.
Right.
And then when I started, and we've done some stuff on the show too, started using it to help us build some software like the Oh My Posh segment, or even just talk through planning for things. I mean, it's become that terminal experience has really been fun for me again.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and it's not for everybody, right? I
no,
mean, I've kind of over the 3 or 4 months that we've been playing around with GitHub Copilot CLI, it's something I've gravitated towards, even away from the chat interface that sits here in VS Code, and kind of really just immersing in the terminal window there and making all kinds of changes to the terminal to kind of support that activity. And you may hear some of those as we go through the day here, or the show here this morning. But the idea is that one of the things that I've been doing internally in my role here at Microsoft is building out plugins for Copilot CLI. And what a plugin is it is a collection of components that can be used to essentially solve some kind of a task for GitHub Copilot when it runs. So, for example, we have one here that builds out an agenda for a meeting based off the information that came out of a transcript, right? That plugin has a number of things inside of it. We can talk about GitHub plugins because they have their own collection of stuff. But I think what we'll do is we'll start a little kind of a level back from that and talk about just some of the constructs that Copilot itself uses. And the reason I'm going in that direction is that was kind of where this internal project started from. Was we created a bunch of skills that handled those kind of tasks. Hey, go create me an agenda. Go create me a closeout email. Go create me, a report that kind of answers all the questions I need to answer at the end of conducting a customer visit. All of those things started as a skill. Now, a skill is cool, and we'll talk about some of the stuff inside of there because it's not only Markdown, but it can include things like code. It can include things like templates. So being able to say, well, now that I get this output from the conversation with the model, go populate this template that is the report or is the email or is the agenda, right? So that skill has a lot of capabilities into it. And you'll see as we go through the things here, skills can be called by agents. So there's a lot of the pieces that come into play when we start talking using Copilot Chat or Copilot in the CLI. Those pieces all can be assembled together to do different bits of work. Some autonomously, some in a manual space or whatever you might need. So part of my rationale for going down this path was, can we create a bunch of skills? Because what I want to do is move those skills into plugins, because essentially they are a copy of a skill. A plugin is a copy of that skill, but it's got to be in a certain format and a certain location with any kind of wrapping around it. So that was kind of where this thought of a project kind of started. Hey, can we create a new project? Because I don't want to show the internal project here. Can we create a new project that is a bunch of skills? And then as part of this, let's create, probably a GitHub action that would then, when we say, hey, check this in, it would go ahead and create the plugin artifacts for us that we need. So in doing that, we thought, we could come back to the example that we've talked about a little bit of, hey, can we get a producer for the show? And not the lovable Scooter back there, but actually a producer that can do some of these tasks for us. So that's kind of where we're starting from.
Yeah,
Okay, Rob,
yeah.
you're going to have a question.
No, definitely. I mean, like this, like I said, we talked for a while about there's a lot of things that we do manually, or that maybe we wish we had software to do, that it just seems like one thing I'm seeing more and more of is people building, these terms mean a lot of different things, but people building like agentic workflows to start a process of, for example, we could do an episode like this, and then we could probably do all this manually. We could run the audio through a speech to text process, and then we could take that and build show notes out of it, and then we could take that and so the point is that all of that was done by hand,
right?
And it's definitely time consuming. So it'll be interesting and I'm not saying that that's the only thing, because there have been many ideas, but that's the whole point, right? Is you have a producer or set of producers that helps you get work done that maybe you were letting go. So
yeah, because we've talked about different things we could do with the transcripts, and even just the transcripts aside, being able to augment the description that sits up in YouTube, or be able to create a blog post at it so that people can find it by doing searching, and then be able to go to searching outside of YouTube. So there's those kind of things that we can certainly expand upon. And that was kind of where this particular project started from. Yeah, that's fine. We can see that. Let's do this. So this project here is just starting to make kind of make these things happen. Let me bring the other video up so that I can make sure I see you. And we probably want to do this and that. Cool. And turn that off for now. All right. Let's see. I think that, is it look big enough to you in there?
What I need to do is switch it to full screen over on a different monitor so that I can see.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's pretty good actually.
Okay.
I think I have the tendency to like make it uncomfortably huge. So
same, yeah.
But I'm looking at 1080p. Great. So
right. So what we have here is on the left, we have the start of this DevTalkShow plugin. So I'm running all of this in Ubuntu because we can. It's one of the, you can certainly run GitHub Copilot inside of a Linux environment as well. And that's what we're doing here. So we've got, my Ubuntu running. I've got a folder. And what I started from was just an ask of GitHub Copilot. And I think if I bring this back up, we can see it. That's not it. Those are the older sessions. Interesting. More. That's what I wanted. More. So here was the original one that sits over in my GitHub Copilot CLI. This one here was a chat that I did about creating an episode. So this is kind of where a skill for me typically starts. There's an idea.
If you don't mind, let me start by asking one question.
Yeah.
You're using GitHub Copilot CLI inside VS Code.
Yes.
Was that just simply starting a terminal, or was there a plugin that made that? Okay, I think
Yep.
you're answering it.
Great question. So there's a recent feature. It's been out for a little bit, but you can actually do, is it this? Yeah, there we go. Create a new terminal in the editor window. So
Yeah.
instead of having the control tilde,
Oh, right.
bring the
Yes.
terminal, now it's down here, and I always forget how to navigate to it, but really it's very simple. You just do control tilde again, and you're back
Yeah.
there. You hit it once more, it closes. I'll just exit out here. This is really just a command window, right? So there's our terminal window, sorry. So I can ls and I can see the things that are here, and it's Ubuntu. So I've got, got to make sure I use those commands here. It's not a Windows PowerShell terminal, it's bash, I guess you could say. So yeah, so from here, we can just do Copilot, and then it becomes another tab, just like any of a document tab that I might have, right? So here's a document, here's the terminal window.
Okay. Nope. I just wondered because my workflow to this point has been terminal window, open GitHub Copilot CLI. I do often have VS Code open though, because something I really like is having the file explorer open just like you do.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it just like as things are being created, you can see it happening. So anyways, yeah.
And I have learned the quick keys to be able to shut those off. So Control Alt B gets rid of the chat window. Control V gets rid of the, come on, Control V. Really? Did we switch that here? There we go. Gets rid of the Explorer view, right? So I can be really full centered, focused on that screen, on whatever document I'm working on, essentially. So that's okay. We'll bring that back. Right. So what I wanted to do to start out with was I wanted to create essentially a skill that would be an episode planner, because that's kind of where everything for us would really start, right? We had some information or some conversation over the last week around, well, what kind of shows do we want to do coming up? And that got me thinking, when we think about having some kind of a producer, the first thing we do is, well, what are the episodes we want to create? So that's really where this skill came from. And the skill is essentially a markdown document that has a bit of information up here at the top, which is called front matter. But the important bits around that is, what is the name of it? And in this case, so we have a way of referencing it. And then what's a description? And a description is kind of important in anything we're doing these LLM components, because it helps if an agent is looking for a particular skill, it knows, well, I need a skill that turns, a bunch of topics into an episode plan. There you go. There's my skill right there that I would go ahead and bring and call this skill to run and do that work if I was an agent and I had access to that skill. The skill itself, I didn't type all of this out. What I did was started with a conversation, and it's not this one. No, I'm not going to be able to find it, right? It's probably this one, because it's in the right time frame. Nope, it's not that one. So I'm not sure where that one went, but the idea is that I would start a conversation with GitHub Copilot and say, okay, I need to create this skill. So let's say we want to create another one. Let's say, so we'll do a new session, and we'll do something where I'm going to get rid of this. Let me let's just close that out. Bring this up. It's still referenced. Why are you still referenced? All right, we'll just leave it in and run with it. Let's say, so we have the episode planner. What's another one that we want to do here? So let's say, let's do this. In order to promote our show, I need to create a skill that will take information from the episode planner and give a short little description that we can include in the in the placeholder for the show on YouTube and over on Twitch, period. Generate this skill and we can iterate on it to see how it works, period. Use the episodes folder for sample content of what an episode might look like, period. So in doing all of that, what we have is I could certainly think about all the different pieces or what have you, but what this is going to do is it's actually going to go ahead and take a look at the episodes, which are essentially the output of our episode planner. And you can see here, we've got here one on creating skills, right? So building your first skill from concept to production. It's a planned show. We actually should probably change that to be, it is scheduled, because that's what it is. And 15, right? So runtime, audience, and then in here it includes things like, well, what's the hook? What's the thing that we want to make sure people are aware of as they're going ahead and doing this? What's the episode angle? A rough outline of what the show is, right? Being able to look at what's the intro content, what are the things we need to think of question-wise, if we deep dive, so this way, if I present a topic that's kind of new, or Chris presents a topic that's kind of new to me, I have a thing that I can look at and say, well, here are some cool questions I can use to kind of drive the conversation along as we're going. And then we wrap, and then if we want to, it's got some interesting things around doing polls and chat prompts, but the call to action as well. And then actually I included a YouTube description here. I didn't realize we did that in as well as the pieces there. So all of this gets created from our original skill, our episode planner skill, because these are the things that we told it to do. And I did it by doing that chat interaction, essentially. So if we now look at here, we have another skill called the show description writer. And this skill, it's in green because of all of the, it's new content in there. But I've got the same thing. I've got a name, I've got a description, and then the goal of what this is, what the inputs are, rules around handling those inputs. So I want to read the episode plan, front matter, and body to extract the title, a hook, an episode angle, front matter and body, right? Because the hook isn't included in the front matter, but the title is and the description is. If no plan is provided, ask to use before proceeding, right? So never invent content that not present in the episode plan is cool. So all of these things to put in place for the LLM so that it doesn't go off the rails. So we have one for Twitter, for YouTube. We've got another one for Twitch because those are the two places we present to. And then we've got an output format of what we want this to hold. All of this essentially becomes that skill. And then we've got, there's some quality checklists here that are included in the end here as well. So that's how you could basically start building out a skill. And we'll keep all of this. We've got our skill here. Now what happens is that we may want to iterate over this. So let's say I'm going to test this out. And because it's part of the skills listed here, and we've got a name of it called Show Description Writer, all I have to do is go into the Copilot chat and do a /, start typing show, and I'm automatically going to get access to any of the skills that are here inside of my project. So I can do this, and then it's actually prompting me to say, generate short promotional descriptions of YouTube. Okay, so we can have it do it for, so let's generate the description for the episode about creating skills, period. So that's the one we're currently doing. It gives it an option or an understanding of which one we want to include. It knows, if you look back here, it actually knows that there's this one already in there called creating skills. So it's going to look at that and it's going to use that. This is kind of the internal monologue it's having as it's going through doing these things. And then as a result, we get this description. And then we have another one for Twitch. And right now, it basically just brought this back into the chat conversation. Probably not where I really want to put it. So what I want to do is something like this. The output of this looks great, period. What I really want you to do is, can you create 2 markdown files underneath or alongside the episode file? That one is for Twitch and one is for YouTube, and it contains the description that we're going to paste into the session over there, period. So by doing this, I'm iterating through the skill, right? It's not just creating, letting it, do the one take of doing it. I do it, I try it, I see what it looks like, and now you can see it's actually creating those other components. And if we look in our folder here, we've got a Twitch one, we've got a YouTube one, and we have our original meeting or episode plan that we had put together here. So now I have, and you can see with the green, the changes that were made. So there's some notes here. There's should be some output stuff up here too, I would think. No, it says one of 3. One is the skill document. So really the only thing it added was down here in the notes. And that is always persist output as 2 separate files alongside the episode file using the pattern that's consistent with how we name the episodes. And each file contains only the copy of that platform. That's pretty much it. So I can keep those. I can also keep the 2 files that it created because those seem to work out. And now I essentially have, a running skill that we can use for other things. The skill is great because it creates this piece, but now these components, this markdown file, could be used for other things. So I kind of said a lot there, but questions, thoughts, comments, does this all kind of make sense?
No, I think it's cool that so like you've used this. Have you used this on other shows yet, or is this kind of like, do you actually point to a show? Because I see that other one. That's exactly what I was looking at.
So I've only used it to create this one, but
Okay.
we're I think when we were talking yesterday, I did this on the side as we were talking about it, but this is one that we want to do. We don't have a date for it yet, but this is one that we want to do around the mono game that you kind of created and kind of step through what we did. So this is from the skill that existed at the time. This is what got created. Probably don't want to keep that at 45. That's definitely a 60-minute show. There's different tags that got included. So because it's mono game, we want to make sure we mention that. We want to make sure we mention C#, and planning is interesting. So those would be things that we might want to modify as we do. But it's got a run of show there. It's got a deep dive. All the things we saw with the other ones, very similar structure-wise, because it's a skill that created it. And the cool thing about that skill is it will give you similar content back for the specific topic that we're looking to present on. So that's what's cool and makes it reusable.
All right. So now, like you said, so this is creating like something we could take. It's funny because this is like the thing that goes to the next thing. So we're getting a markdown file with some metadata because theoretically the metadata markdown is something like humans can read pretty well, although LLMs don't do a horrible job of it either. But the metadata is a more structured way to lead to the next thing, which I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, I get it. But I could see another skill come along and take those tags and say, well, I know I'll tag the YouTube video with these tags.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be jumping ahead.
Well, and that's part of the reason I wanted to make sure tags got thrown in there, because that is one of the things that, at least, when I think of filling out that description or what have you, that's the tough thing to put together, right? What are the things that we want to mention so that people, essentially realize that this show is for them. And I think this probably is a place where we probably could do a little bit of improving on, because it's, there's a much wider collection of tags that we could probably put inside of there. Now, I know at some point we're going to get limited with how many we could throw in there, but that might be something we could certainly do. And I think we could look here if we find tags. Interesting. Oh, wrong one. This one. Tags. There we go. Short list of tags. Well, that doesn't really say much. And I think where was it really? Was it 3 of them? Oh, and then the output. Okay, that makes sense. So, short list of tags that describe the episode. Maybe used for filtering, searching in the future. May include technology, something like that. Let's see. So just trying to give that a little more impact to what's being created. So let me see if I can do this. I haven't tried this yet. So I'm going to bring in the episode planner, and I'm pretty sure we should be able to update this. Let me try this. Hey, we made some modifications to how we define tags in our front matter for an episode, period. Can you rerun the episode planner, specifically looking at the tag section, and update the 2 episodes that we've created in the episode folder, period? Oh, shoot. So I hit enter too quickly. So, and it doesn't get all my text. Sorry. Let me try that again. To how we capture tags or generate tags for a show, planning, period. Can you rerun the episode planner skill against the 2 episode files that we already have created, period? There we go. Let's see what that does. So what we're doing is we're basically saying it's going to read through both episode files. Awesome. Update the front matter tags accordingly from what he already knows. He's got those, got that. So now it's going to read, it's going to edit them. And then if we go back to, once we're done, we can look at this. And we can see that it's actually gotten rid of the planning one, but it's looked at some additional ones that might be more meaningful to the topic of the talk. Same thing with this one. Game loop, collision detection, live coding, walkthrough, host led, right? These are things that you can continue to refine as you move forward.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then the way you're running the skill. So I find this interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm going to comment on your workflow a little bit here. You have GitHub Copilot chat in VS Code working, mm-hmm. which was different from earlier. So because you can take a skill and use it this way, was the skill built with, not that it matters because it doesn't really matter, but you use the CLI to build the skill, but then I think, and then said, hey, let me go try it out.
Yeah, I think I actually used this. Let me bring this.
It doesn't really matter that much. These are different. They're different embeds, ways to access Copilot, even though you kind of learn the differences between each one. Like here, you do everything from the command line. But again, in this particular environment, 2 skills are loaded, 1 MVP server is loaded. It's mm-hmm. connected to Visual Studio Code, which is cool. But that's not the same thing. The context of the chat you're having on the right is not shared with this session here in the middle.
Correct. But
which is okay, but although you could resume it, right? I think you can move it over.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can certainly, I think if I hit this one, yeah, it doesn't always go out. And I'm in the Ubuntu space, so it may run into some issues there, but I can't really see this one here around the Copilot CLI streams. But if I do resume from here, I can see the list of ones, and here's the one that is the create the Copilot stream, and you can see, well, this is all of the things that I went through to figure out what we want our so this is actually that episode planner skill that it created. So this is where the skill actually got created when I did it, because I was working in the CLI way I did it and was asking questions. This was the start of, hey, if we're thinking about building out different skills that might help the show, here are some examples of some skills that we might build out over time. And then this is the actual, like I said, the episode planner that wound up being our skill over here. Yep, it's episode planner skill, right? I had to mock it out, and it's a mock. It's one of those things that we could certainly do for as we've shown. You can modify it. You can continue to iterate on it as you see new things. I mean, I've got a couple skills for that internal project I work on that kind of look at the issues that are up in GitHub and help me triage the issues, right? And say, are they, high, medium, low severity, right? What's the give an assessment of, are these good new issues for people just coming onto the project? Are they bugs? Are they enhancements? Those kind of things. And it basically runs through and says, well, here's all the new issues that came in since we last ran this. I'm going to go ahead and tag them, in this way. Does that make sense? Right. So that process of that skill has come about over the course of several weeks of using it every day and then modifying and saying, hey, you're doing this well. Let's see if we can improve how we, define something as an enhancement, right? And I'll modify the skill to do that. So these are all typically works in progress, essentially.
Okay. So, I was busy watching in full screen and not paying attention to the comments, but we had this when we were talking about how the terminal window can be moved to its own tab now. Yeah. And I agree. I didn't know either. So that was pretty cool. And sorry that it took 20 minutes to get to that, but thank you, Cranky Milk, for agreeing that is a pretty cool new feature. I like that.
My other favorite one is this, the command palette. It used to sit up here at the top, and you always had to bring your eyes up to, especially if it was only like a 2-line command prompt that popped up there for being asked to log into something or somewhere. But now you can basically take it and move it wherever you want. So front and center kind of makes sense. So I kind of have it sitting out here whenever I need to connect to the prompt or the palette, I should say. Okay. So we've got skills. We actually have a couple skills, right? Yeah. So let's try this. I'm not gonna worry about that for now. Let's try this. Let's try this a different way. I want to go and use the gear up here.
Oh, hold on. When you went to click on it, I was gonna go ahead. Where did you click?
Sorry. This gear up in this spot here.
In the upper right. Our faces were covering it, so.
That makes sense. Okay, so it opens the customizations. And what this gives you is essentially, can I zoom in a little bit? I might make it a little better. Essentially gives you access to all of the skills and agents and instructions and prompts. Those are all of the things that you can use to interact with GitHub Copilot. And that doesn't matter in chat or CLI or what have you. These are ways to ground the context, or to have it perform a specific task, or to be, in almost like a certain mode of doing some kind of creation when you think about agents versus skills. So we could look at the agents here, and you can see we've got that document adapter that was sitting over in the file there. There's an ask agent, an explore agent, and a plan agent. Those are just the drop downs that exist over in the chat window in GitHub Copilot chat. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to generate an agent. And as with many things here, yeah, we've got a plan for the show, but I've got an idea for what an agent might be to kind of show all the pieces that we kind of put together. So if I come back to here and I say, hey, we're going to create an agent and do this. Now, to be fair, I opened up that window and that's how I got that. I could certainly type in /create agent and do the same thing. So what do we want this agent to do? So let's do this. Can you create an agent that will take an idea for a show, comma, and based on that idea for a show, call the appropriate skills to generate a plan for that episode and generate the placeholder descriptions for the various locations where we where we broadcast the show, period. Okay, so now all that's there. Nope, I'll need all that. So I'll get rid of this. So I'm going to let it do that. Well, let's do that. We can talk through it. The thought here is that we created those skills, right? And those skills are essentially, tasks. Why can't I come around to? Let me see if I can do it this way. Hang on. I'm trying to bring us back on the screen. There we go.
Oh, sorry. I could have done that.
So what we're doing here is we created those skills. We know this, we kind of tested them out like, hey, rough thumbs up, they kind of work. That's fine. We can move on. So now that those skills exist, I don't always want to have to go and call each of those skills individually. I could do that, much like we did. Hey, here's an idea for an episode and create it. But could it be a better idea to actually have an agent go and build those things out for us? Mm-hmm. And that's what this agent is going to do. Now, the agent should be aware. I think when we go look at the agent itself, the agent should be aware that, hey, it has access to the episode planner and the what if we wind up calling that? The show description skill, show description writer. So it should have access to both of those. So let's go take a look. So this is the episode producer agent. And I'm just going to clean up the window here a little bit so we can kind of see some things.
So like you said, you were launching the skills individually by using that just the slash sort of convention in a chat window. Mm-hmm. But that's different from now. This is almost like saying, I said this yesterday, that I feel like there are a lot of things that we developers have been writing deterministic code and coming up with workflows and thinking through every possible edge case to do a thing, to solve a problem. Whereas if you could teach a human to do the same thing and not have to explain everything in tremendous painstaking detail, they could infer what to do in a lot of situations. Like just even going grocery shopping, you say, hey, get me some milk. We usually get the store brand, but you don't even have to say anything more. They go to the store and they're like, well, the store brand's not here, so I'll just get whatever. But I'm not going to make the mistake of saying, well, they don't have 2%, so I'm just going to get buttermilk. Like, we wouldn't do that as human beings.
Yeah.
And agents seem to have that ability to infer, obviously with guardrails and with direction and whatever, where we basically can say like, well, you probably don't want me to do this, so I'm going to do this. So instead of you having to say, use the skill, now it's going to know my part of my workflow is to use this stuff, and it just does it for us, which is a little bit different from tools. Like we were either writing or assigning tools to the pizza bot, mm-hmm. so that the agent there had the discretion to use the tool, kind of like its hands or its ability to do things. Go order a pizza. Okay, well, this tool lets me do that.
Right. Yes.
But skill isn't quite a tool. A skill is a description of how to do something.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because if you look here, is it this? No, why can't I do? It's not letting me do the zoom it. The tools are read, edit, search, and to do, right? That's very different from here's the skills that you might invoke to do the sequence that are completely listed down here outside of the tools and even outside of the front matter, right? It's within the body of the agent description itself.
Yeah.
So and agent's cool because it can bring up some tools, and those tools give it the capabilities to do things. That's one of the one of the parts that make it an agent. But the idea is that the fact that we've created these other artifacts and they exist inside of this project, we can certainly have them call them, and that's starting to get us down the path of a plugin, where that plugin, once we wind up creating it, can be an agent that includes the skills that that agent needs to be able to do the work it needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to make this happen, let's do this. Let's do this guy. Yep, let's do session. Let's get out of there. So you can see we've got 3 skills listed in one agent, which is kind of interesting. And it might be, let me just exit and come back in. Because we should have 2 skills, well, 3 skills, because one is in there by default, and 2 agents, and that's what we have now. So we now have 2 agents and 3 skills, and all of that is because of this part down here. We're running in a current work directory, or a current working directory, right? If we do CWD, that is a current working directory. You can see kind of where we live. If I move out to CWD, I go that, and hub, and I come back in and say, well, that's not going to be my working directory. It didn't come back and specifically say, but I could do, hey, tell me about agents. And I don't have any agents. It just wants me to create a new agent. How about skills? So I got the one skill that came in because of it's one that's in here by default, but that's not going to help me. All of those other skills are there. So the working directory is really important, because the fact that I've got those structured in the GitHub folder, Copilot is able to see those and bring those into the session that we're working on. So I'll change my directory back to where it was, dev. Yep, cool. So now when I do agent, you can see I've got a couple agents. I've got the document one, I've got the episode producer we just created, and I can select one of them and say, hey, we're going to be doing this context we're going to be doing this session in the context of the agent. So let's do that with the episode producer. Hey, I need you to create a new episode for me. This episode is going to be showing how we have an agent actually post to the places where we're going to be broadcasting. We're probably going to try and do this on May 14th, and let's keep it as a scheduled date for now, period. So we'll close that. We'll go ahead and let it run. Now, because it's running in the context of the selected agent, new episode, topic, I've got a topic, so I can proceed. I'll create the episode. Just kind of let it run through the plan. This is always the fun stuff, waiting for things to happen. Does that kind of make sense, how we got from a skill to do a task and an agent to, be in the context of here's some things I need you to do, and go do what you need to do to perform those tasks?
Oh yeah. Like, I think in some ways I was trying to restate it a little earlier, is that, by itself, a skill is still useful, Because when we were doing the pizza bot, you often had me test tools, not the same thing,
Right.
but we would use Visual Studio Code because it was kind of easy. Or I think one time we might have used the CLI. Basically say, hey, you have access to these tools now, so order a pizza for me. And it would be like, well, I probably should use the pizza ordering tools. But that was more of like, is this fair to say that that's just kind of using the LLM just as is without more guidance, more instructions? And an agent takes that to a level of narrowing focus. And when I say narrowing focus, it's a lot of things. It's, hey, here's the specific task I want you to do, and here are the things you could use to do it. And, oh, by the way, don't do these things.
Yeah. I think that's a fair. I'm always trying to, everybody asks, we've got agents, we've got skills, when do we use what for different things? And I almost think of agent being in a mode of completing some kind of work. There might be subtasks inside of that work, but the agent is focused on getting something done, and it will continue to work through its body of information of how it does that until it gets to the end point, which is, creating an episode plan and creating the two pieces that need to that describe what we're going to post up. So once that work is done, then the agent can kind of be done doing what it's doing. And then to access that, as we saw, it's got tools, but it may also be aware of things to do that. Now, if we took out that description of, I'll keep this here. If we took out, the description, would it be able to know, hey, I've got this episode planner. That probably is a good thing I'm going to use here. It might, because the descriptions certainly push it down that path. But what we're doing here by saying you do this by invoking these two skills in sequence is we're really making the agent prescriptive and have a defined workflow of how it's going to do the task it's been asked to do.
Okay.
Cool. So now we ended up with, let's see, we've got our different title ideas. That's interesting. A hook, the episode angle. There's a run of show, which is the basics, the different segments, questions for each of those different segments, and much like we saw with the other capabilities coming soon via the show. That's interesting. So we may have to modify our episode planner skill to maybe not include this part, because there's no point in churning on it if we're going to send it off to something else. And then we can look at the YouTube one, and you can say, well, here's a nice little short description that we could then take and push out to YouTube and to Twitch.
Yeah, right. That's the thing, is so maybe that's something that the difference between it seems like there would be a skill to post on this Twitch schedule or something like that.
Right.
Although the Twitch schedule isn't exactly like the YouTube one. If I remember correctly, the Twitch schedule is more of an idea of like, I regularly go live at this time every week, where the YouTube schedule is like, there will be a show on this topic at this time.
Right.
Which is cool. Like
yeah.
They're just different ways of looking at the same thing. But I could see there being a skill of like creating a YouTube event.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to be totally unfair to you, Rich, because I think this is a new world, and you're probably learning both from projects and interactions with different, different teams and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better to have? See, I'm thinking like a developer. Is it better to have this narrow skill that knows how to post to YouTube instead of tying it so tightly to a Dev Talk Show episode? It's like, look, I know how to create a YouTube event. So an agent that understands the whole workflow of, we've planned the episode, now let's post it to YouTube, says, well, let me use the skill to do that. The skill doesn't care who I am.
Right. And the skill can certainly do that. And this is where it comes down. What's the right way to do it? Is it a skill?
Or maybe that's a tool.
Or is there an MCP tool that
Yeah.
lets us do this, right? I mean,
Right.
You could very easily with a skill have a Python script that, does the right REST command to the YouTube endpoint, or it's probably the Google API endpoint, to be able to push that up. Either, it could be done either way.
Yep. The skill, I'm guessing that now this probably isn't totally true, because I think I'm getting the sense there's some blurred lines now and then. But in general, a skill that we designed to do that would have to figure out how to do it, maybe write some code, execute that code, and it's going to be like reinventing that wheel every time. Whereas the tool is, given these inputs, I can solve this problem. Like, yeah. And you do, and it's essentially what we're more traditionally used to. I'm not going to say this as a blanket statement, but it's code that does something. Just like in the pizza bot, there was code that called the API.
Right.
So as long as the agent said, okay, well, I'm going to go use this tool, the tool knows how to call the API and order the pizza. Great.
Yeah. And I kind of want to split those, at least in this example here.
Yeah.
Split those out into two separate things, because I want the agent to create it. I want to review it.
Right.
And then when I review it, now have a different agent go and publish it.
Right. Huh. Those kinds of things are things I'm seeing people do, and I don't think about them enough.
What's that?
I see it a lot in the coding world or the coding agent world of, like, there's one agent that's serving as the architect of the project, and then another one is the team lead, or maybe they're the same, it doesn't matter. And then another one is specializing in back-end code, another specializing in front-end code, another specializing in testing. This idea that you just said of, it wouldn't just be one agent that creates an episode. It would be more of a team that works together, one of them reviewing the work. I suppose this sort of use of multiple agents, is this meant to reinforce quality, or I don't know what I'm asking. Maybe that's close to what I'm asking.
I think I see where you're going. Some of it is separation of concerns, right? If I have an agent that does all of these things, from soup to nuts, here's the idea, go. If you're just creating documents, I think that's okay. I think at some point there is a human in the loop, as we say, around this process. And where that is different for the different processes that you might do. So for example, you were talking about, you might have, you're working on a coding problem. You might have an agent that does the code, and you have another agent that does the review. And when they both agree, great, they move on to the next thing. Ultimately, a person's going to be looking at the changes that were made before it gets PR'd back into the main branch, or maybe even before it gets checked in, or the tests that are run as well, right? So there are things that have a human as part of that loop. For me, in this scenario here, the agent creating the episode information is the good first step. I don't want it to take that next step of posting it, because I want to have some say over that. I want to make sure that what's being posted is accurate and is what we want to present. It doesn't have, something I don't want to put on our YouTube profile, right? So that's where in that phase, that's where the human is appropriately in the loop. So you have to look at this and think, where is the part that I'm where's the part where I'm having the agent work on things up to the point where I'm kind of not uncomfortable having it go that next step until I take a look at it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. I thought it was cool that we were able to add skills and now building agents. And then I guess maybe there is a step to creating tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there certainly, I'll have to go back and check. There was an MCP instance for YouTube. I just don't remember who created it, whether it was a third party or it was actually created by Google or themselves. And
right.
The thing with MCPs, right, you want to use the one that's created by the actual owner of the platform, where you can. So I think that'll be something to take a look at for the next time.
Yeah, I think so too. So I can see the path we're on now. It's a little bit clearer than it was this morning, because and offline you showed me a few things, but now that we actually walked through it, I'm going, okay. I can see, and boy, I really love the. It's funny what you get out of an episode. I love the terminal built into like the top tier tabs now. I don't know what to call that top row of tabs versus it being its own console. I love that. So
They call
that's
that in the editor area.
in editor area. Okay, cool.
Because there's also, just in case, if you haven't, if that was new, there's also this, which is the integrated browser,
Right.
which is also in the tab area, which is really cool.
You know, this is, funny thing now that you've been doing this, I'm going to take something really dumb that I do for, for the Philly.net group, which is create a markdown page in our GitHub repo that represents every show. I have actually gotten to a place where here's the primitive place that I've gotten to was before we had these particular, before we had GitHub Copilot CLI or anything like that. I would cut and paste the previous one, bring it in, change the dates, change the tiny URL, and basically wipe out all the text and then copy from Meetup what would go in the description. And then what I did last time is I said, okay, can you do that for me? And I basically told it, here's the Meetup link for the next one.
Okay.
Can you change the tiny URL to follow the pattern? Because I'm going to go create that tiny URL in a little bit. Like, I didn't actually ask it to go do it.
Yeah.
But now I'm stopping and thinking about it and saying, like, why am I not building a tool or finding a tool, if there is one, to create that URL, for me, and then add that to a skill that maybe it's a skill, I don't know, that deals with creating a page for the user group. And then I don't know if that's necessarily a skill or an agent. Like that's where the line blurs a little for me still. Like obviously, but and then basically doing less of what I'm doing now, including creating the QR code. Like that's standard. Creating QR codes is standard. Why am I doing this myself? So I'll have to see if I can come up with that, because that would be a short. If that all worked, that's something we could run through just to see. It's just something we do in our user group where every meetup there's a YouTube page. I'm sorry, a GitHub page for. And when I'm actually at the meetup, I'll take notes. But the presenter can also send a pull request with like, "Hey, here's my code," or whatever they wanted to say. So.
No, I think that's awesome. And I think that's why one of the things I always tell customers when we come through and we talk about this is like, if you're new to this or if you're starting to get it, we're all kind of at that stage where we're learning different things. Share. Just hey, look at this cool prompt I did. Look at this thing I saved that I used to manually take me 20 minutes. I now get it done in 30 seconds because I type in the prompt and it happens.
You know what I think it is? I have to graduate. So it's been a journey. If you've been following this show long enough or seen me talk at user groups at the Philly.net group, I asked years ago, like, is this just a chat thing? And the journey on this show is I know the Pizza Bot was the interface, but it didn't have to be.
Right.
We could then go further and come up with ways to order pizza that have nothing to do with chatting with it.
Yeah.
And I kind of see that as the next step for me in my brain, is that this isn't about chatting to get this work done for our show. This is about having an agent that understands. And look, I don't know what kicks it off. Maybe in the future, what kicks it off is we write in a OneNote document. I don't know. And something's watching it and saying like, well, this is a new episode they're working on. Let me get the planning going.
Right. Or the email that comes in or the text message or
Yeah. And then as you know, one of the things I'd like to go over on this show is a very specific project for that would help like a law firm bill, but based on just documentation that comes from anywhere and could be any format. It could be an email, it could be a voicemail, it could be. So how does all that happen? And then the other thing I'd like to do is we talk a lot about, so some people have said in the comments, when are we going back to monogame? And I would like to try a monogame MCP server that we see out in the community. I'd like to try that and have it help us take the next step. I mean, certainly as a game developer, I want to know how the code works. But if it can solve boilerplate tasks for me, and it does it the way I would expect,
Right.
and I can validate it, or even just work past it, like I think that would be great, you know.
Yeah.
So
That'd be really
yeah, we'll keep at it. And we do have a pretty exciting game that we'll be showing soon, I think. I don't know if it'll be Friday. I know there's
kind of hinted at it, but yeah.
no show for me tomorrow.
Okay.
But maybe Friday. We'll see.
Okay.
I'd like to be on Friday. I don't know if you're available. So
I am. Yeah, Friday works.
Okay,
I'll be
cool.
Friday.
But this is cool. And now I'm actually thinking about going offline after this and saying, should I take the project I'm working on where I'm so focused on the prompt and agent layer and start trying to define the skills instead of just thinking at that high level?
Yeah.
Like, so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I haven't thought at this level before, and this is really nice.
Awesome. Glad we could kind of open that up for you, because that's that's sometimes that works, and sometimes things just don't line up. But it sounds like we triggered some good things there, so this is fun.
Yeah, and hopefully it was for you watching as well. If you have anything for us, whether you have experience with this, would like us to go in specific directions, please let us know in the YouTube comments. You can watch every show on youtube.com/TheDevTalkShow. And other than that, we've been doing, there it is. There are the archives right there. If you joined us on Twitch live, and again, we had that great comment today. Really appreciate that. It's always nice to see people watching live. But no matter what you're doing, if that's it, Rich, I'll get us out of here. I guess we're a few minutes after 9. So for Rich, I'm Chris, and we'll see you all next time on the Dev Talk Show.